So you want to write a book and you don't know where to begin? In today's episode, we'll be interviewing Greg Dixon to go over all the steps on how you can go about publishing your book. Welcome to the Radiant Business Podcast. This is Jason Ross, your host, being joined by our new co-host, Samantha S-02, and our guest, Larry Dixon. So, for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm a web developer, been doing this for over 11 years now, and where I run Radiant Freedom Digital Marketing and specialize in small and medium business, high conversion websites with SEO. And Samantha, if you'll introduce yourself.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Samantha. I'm part of Jason's team, and I'm excited to be here as a co-host on the brand new season of the podcast. I'm also a student. I'm doing my master's in business administration, so I'm looking forward to discussing business-related topics with you guys and sharing our experiences and learning from one another. I think it's going to be very interesting and insightful.
And our host and our guest here, Greg. You can introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Greg Dixon, Shared Visions Unlimited, publishing, multimedia publishing and marketing, and basically a writing cheerleader. I encourage people to write, no matter what their end result is. But I think we're going to talk mostly about business books and lead magnets today in the context of marketing.
Exactly. And, really the whole reason why you want to do that as a business professional, business owner is really publishing your own book is a great sales tool. It's a great way of establishing your expertise. It's also a great way of sharing, a good part of your solution before a person's pulled out their credit card to start making any major purchases from you. And in fact, even a great starting point is even to start with a free ebook, which is a great way of getting people in contact with you initially, and then progressing from there to a paid book and then into your main service line. Now, Greg here will be talking about, the benefits and the how-tos of going through that whole publishing journey from first concept and idea through to where and how to publish and what are the benefits of some of your different options. Where I can talk about is what are the marketing and sales benefits of, writing and publishing your own books. So why don't you start with how does well, I guess first we'll start with why would you want to write and publish your own book? And a good starting point is when you get to your website and what do you want a person to do ultimately is you want to get their contact info. So you want them to convert. And aside from things I've talked about in previous episodes of the podcast with your 4 elements of marketing, get attention, engage, educate, and offer, I encourage you to watch episodes 1 and 4 where we get into that in detail. What we'll be talking about here is the fourth part of that, the offer. Because creating your own book is a great offer when you offer it up for free in exchange for the person signing up to your list. That's a great way of getting a high conversion landing page or conversions on your home page. Because that book is able to share your expertise, share solutions, and establish rapport with your prospective clients. Now, once you get beyond that step, that's where we want to talk to Greg about is how would you go about producing that first, say, lead magnet book and then maybe your first published for sale book?
Okay, you want me to jump in here?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So one of the things is people sometimes say is, well, why should I hire you to do X? And they say is, well, I wrote the book. And it can give you a lot of credibility right away. It can some open doors to get onto podcasts, get to become a speaker. So all kinds of things. So, but you want me to talk about what the process is? I think sometimes really most people, if they've been in business, they probably have everything already written down somewhere, or it's in, they can do a mind map or something, get it outline and get it out there in a hurry. So coming up with ideas for most people is not the major problem. You can come up with a list of chapters, a list of things, topics to talk about pretty quickly, and in my experience is once the outline's done, the rest is just sort of filling in the spaces. So anyway, the process I generally follow if somebody comes in and they want to write a book is, I'll ask them what they want to write about, and why, who the audience is, why they want to write it, and so outside of a business time, I encourage people to write books because it's worthwhile even just to write as the process. And I was talking to somebody this morning or yesterday actually, who said she puts together books with groups of authors, and what she learned about it is sometimes people have revelations. They thought they were going to do, they're doing X, and then in the process of writing the book, they realize that maybe Y is where their emphasis should be. So it's kind of revealing, just a process of organizing the notes, writing it and putting it together. So the other thing is I like using Google Docs. So the first thing I do with a new client is I create a Google Doc set of folders, which include some planning, some places to put drafts, place to just dump ideas, all the random notes, everything you might even possibly ever want to put in there, is just a place to start collecting it. And then with the outline, once you have the outline, you can start fleshing out some of those ideas. And
I can speak from my own personal experience on the benefits of using, Google Docs and setting up project folders for your books. Because although I haven't brought it up really on this podcast, I am writing my own book. Well, in my case, it's a medieval fantasy story, so a bit of a different thing from business, but there is still a business to writing a fiction book as well, because ultimately you want people to buy your book when you're writing it, because the whole point of telling a story is so that people actually read it and hear it. And I found that was extremely valuable in being able to work with my team and being able to have, artists do their artwork on the book, have the editor be able to do the edits and collaborate with them very closely. Because Google Docs has a handy feature called comments in there, which is a great way of exchanging feedback with your editor.
And when you guys organize ideas on Google Docs, do you use any sort of AI integration? Because I can understand not using them, but perhaps a lot of business owners and potentially authors, they might think about how that could enhance their work. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I do. So I've been using Grok, and I've been loading up everything I have from my writing courses on copy editing, copywriting, marketing, all that sort of stuff in there. Plus, if I have a bunch of things, project information about that. And then I haven't had that much good success with getting AI to write or create anything. But it's right. It's like having a whole team of experts. So I'll write a draft, or I'll take a client's draft, and I'll put it in there and ask, from a copy editing point of view, what recommendations can you make? And he'll come up with a whole pile of recommendations, and then often a rewrite. And if I ask it to give a table of explaining why it made those suggestions. So for me, it makes my writing better, and it gives me more confidence if I'm working with an author that I could probably come up do a better job with the editing process, which is outrageously time consuming. So,
yeah.
Honestly, kind of explainable AI is so important, because if it can't even justify itself to you, and you can't even convince yourself, and how are you supposed to convince your readers?
Well, I think AI, I'm not convinced AI and automation is not going to eventually destroy the world, but that doesn't mean you can't use it today.
Oh,
So what I think for me is, and it's almost anything like you like playing chess or almost anything is the a well-trained AI model will know more, basically the sum total of all of humanity's ever written about a subject, right? So you can't even, almost anything you can think of, if you can put in some specific things, but even without doing that, you ask and it'll pull up stuff from the written word on. And it also hallucinating can go off, do crazy, wacky stuff, but it's just unbelievable how good a advisor it can be. Like I've even asked questions about some of my own projects and say, "Oh, that's a really good idea, and here you might want to consider that, and here's where you would use the AI, and here's where you wouldn't use the AI." So I've had AI tell me when not to use AI. So there we go.
Yeah. And that is interesting that you mentioned it, because that is definitely one of the things you need to be careful of when using AI is the hallucinations, because it is a sum of all the published works, that humans have put on the internet. That includes all the things that are correct. It also includes all the things that people have gotten wrong, including things like where someone's posted some crazy meme on Reddit or X or whatever, and then the AI is taking that and doesn't understand the context that that's just a joke, so it takes it as fact, even when the author didn't intend it to be taken as factual. So that definitely is something that AI is a great research tool, but always verify what it tells you.
yes.
It's the same. Actually, it's the same with working with humans. I wrote an article one time. I was playing in a band and I wrote an article to submit to present in San Francisco, and I gave a copy to everybody. We went for lunch after, and everybody read it, and it was interesting. No two people ever flagged the same thing in it. And it became obvious that some people were reading purely for context and not grammar or anything like that, and others were just knee-jerk grammar Nazis. And and it's sort of interesting because you look at that and sometimes when they obviously didn't understand what I was getting at, but that means we didn't write it clearly enough. I had to go back and repost it. I got the gig, so I guess it worked out okay.
Yeah. I mean, all's well that ends well, I guess, as the saying goes. But
yeah. So it's just even with you have to be careful with an editor with your work too, because you have to have the right editor. I've worked with some authors that the wrong editor would absolutely destroy the soul of the wrong editor. So you have to, somebody who understands what they're getting at and not get carried away.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fortunate in my book that I managed to stumble across a great editor that's, like my book, of course, is set in mostly medieval settings. So the person's also a medieval history enthusiast who's also practiced archery, to some degree. So I got lucky there with my editor. And at the same time, also, I ended up finding that, just because of my background in web development, I've always done the collaborative approach with my copywriters, editors, and other team members. So I just stuck with what I'm familiar with into writing a book.
Yeah.
And that actually worked great, because there are times where maybe the editor was suggesting or changing things that didn't make sense because it was correcting a grammar error where it was intentional as part of a character's voice, or other things like that where the context sometimes gets lost between the writer and the editor. But having that collaborative approach, we're able to discuss those things, and by the end of the book, she gotten very good at knowing when to start fixing up the grammar and when to leave it be.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned Google
Even to the
Docs.
point where she'd even start, suggesting things that were grammatically incorrect because that would be in character for a particular, character who's speaking or thinking at the time. So,
Yeah, it's like you don't want to have somebody get a hold of Mark Twain's writings and try to make it into Etonian English.
Yeah.
And that is why it's so important to have an editor that's in sync with you, because getting the right person to work with can really uplift and empower you in doing your writing work. And yet, if it's someone who isn't just as happy to be taking on a collaborative approach, it could really destroy whatever kind of energy or momentum you might have had.
And Jason had mentioned Google Docs, and they have like change tracking and comments. And that's the thing is where, in many ways, the polite way of going about it is make the recommended changes in the comments and have them review it rather than just make it. I tend to be sort of heavy-handed and just make all the changes anyway. But so, yeah. But I know I've been on the other end of editors on my stuff too, and one of the interesting things is about my AI Grok is how diplomatic it is and personable, right? Wow, that was really great. I really like this and here. But however, and then it points off. Yeah. and one of the funniest comments is at the end of it, things that says, it read a little bit like a brain dump. So.
Yeah, now let's fast forward a bit, and let's say the person's gone through the collaborative part where they've created their book, used the Google Drive and Google Docs tools, Google Sheets, all that stuff. And so now they've gotten their book to the point where they have a finished manuscript. They've gone through the editor cycle and all that stuff. What would be the next step in the process?
So and actually when I've been collaborating with another editor, usually that's when I receive the manuscript and when it's done, really. And they think there aren't any more text changes to be made with it. So what I've been doing with sort of standard is I format with Atticus and run it through there. And then from Atticus, I'll create some samples for them to review. And if there aren't any issues with that, then we've been submitting to Amazon. Atticus will export as a PDF that's completely already ready for Amazon and Ingram Spark, with the format, and also with the ebook format, EPUB. So the process is export it. If it's just an Amazon only client, then the tricky part is almost always the cover. Like it's getting everything, all the micro things just exactly right is really fussy with the cover. Almost never any issues with the manuscript that comes out because it's text and some formatting, but the cover is the pain. So I've got a couple of titles of my own and one other that I've published myself, but generally I get a client to have their own Amazon KDP account, and I'll upload and I'll do all the wrestling, make sure it passes all the formatting issues and get configured, and then the author will have the last review. And then we'll push the publish button. So.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to ISBN numbers, which is an important part of publishing, what would be your recommendation for your typical business owner who's wanting to publish their own professional book? Would you recommend just letting Amazon get that for you, or would you recommend going through the process of getting your own ISBN number and submitting that to Amazon?
Yeah. So we typically will put, like, if I put it up on Amazon, it depends on what you want to do with it through Amazon. But if you just want Amazon to sell it, then we typically let Amazon come up with the ISBN number. But when we put things up on Ingram Spark, I create an ISBN number for that and use a custom ISBN number. Some of the clients have come and got ISBN numbers, and that's already part. They already have that. But the thing is that it needs to be different in general, like depending what the Amazon version and then the other one. They'll be different ISBN numbers. But the thing is that there's a lot of, like, one of the reasons why you put it through Ingram Spark is because it's a worldwide distribution network, in the sense that any library or bookstore can order the book. They can put it into their catalog, and if somebody wants it, they can order copies to bring it in. And so that's one of the advantages, and that will require a separate ISBN number. And you need a separate ISBN number for the ebook too. Like this, that's different than the print book. Like it's basically just a sales code, so you can scan it in the store, right?
Yeah. And so, are there any pros and cons towards, going through Amazon to get it versus getting it yourself?
Well, getting it yourself costs money. So depending on what your budget is, if you're in the U.S., Canada, you can do it for free. So you can register and as a publisher, and it'll issue free ISBN numbers, which is pretty handy. But there's a couple of organizations down in the States where people will purchase it, and I'm sure all over the world there are various ways of getting ISBN number. I personally, if you're just going to do Amazon, I would probably not worry about getting a separate ISBN number, and just sort of like you're going to deal with the Amazon universe and behave within that. But it really it's. I don't think it's that important on Amazon, but if you're publishing in through other means, you need your own number.
Yeah, I guess one of the things you'd be doing that for is to basically avoid getting yourself roped into the Amazon exclusive version of the contract.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose, but Amazon's interesting. Amazon is I discovered this. I helped a friend publish a book called Tales from the Turkey Table, and we published it both on Amazon and through Ingram Spark. The thing is that it went totally viral, the Ingram Spark. Like you can find hundreds of book vendors listing the book for sale, including Amazon. So it's actually the third party thing is competing with the Amazon version of the book on Amazon, and to the point where we can't just simply send people to Amazon to go find it, because they might find one of these third party ones, and some of them are selling them for a lot more than what we're charging. So I went, and when I did a new version of it, I deliberately made the price a little bit lower, but it's kind of weird. So, it is a global marketplace on Amazon. And the other thing is, one of the things with Amazon is they have the Kindle, the sort of the, what do they call it?
The ebooks.
Yeah, but the ebooks. But there's when you publish your ebook, you can opt to have it go out through their. I want to call it Kindle Prime. That's not really what they call it, but there's a way. Like I've got a Kindle membership, and I can download a whole bunch of books for free. I don't have to pay for it, and so you can make your book available, that people who are paying the monthly subscription can just get a copy of the book. And but what you're trading off is you get wider distribution, but you're trading off is you're getting a percentage of the sale. So which 10 or 15 cents deposited into your account occasionally. So yeah, but it's just which is good from a business point of view. If you what you really want to do is get your book in the hands of as many people as possible, that could make sense.
Yeah, especially if your book also is, promoting your primary services as part of its,
Yeah.
contents.
So my experience generally is I've sold way more books myself than ever gone through Amazon. It's a tough game, and actually let's go back to the idea of using the as a lead magnet, in which case it makes more sense to have maybe even your own downloadable or something else rather than an Amazon ebook at that point as a lead magnet.
Yeah, in fact, with my book, that's exactly what I did. Is I released the first 2 chapters, for free as a lead magnet, and then when the book's finished and ready to publish, or is fully published on Amazon, then I'll send out a notice with the link to purchase a book to my email list, and
Right.
let them know that, hey, the book's now available on Amazon. The idea being that a percentage of my subscribers will go and get the book within the
Yeah.
first week of publishing, which that can send a message to Amazon that, hey, this book's popular. Go ahead and push it out to more people.
Yeah. It's a fabulous excuse to go get do press releases, get some press, and do some advertising and promotion, and get on shows and stuff. So, and that whole launch thing. I don't know if you've done that with the trying to get it into the Amazon best-selling list. It's it's a worthwhile exercise to do for the fun of it, but.
Yeah, that's something I definitely intending to do for Noel's Honor when that one releases. But yeah, that's also a good selling point for you as a business owner, as a professional. When your book is like Amazon #1 bestseller, number 10, top 10 bestseller, etc. That's a great marketing point that you can.
Yeah, it looks good to put the badge on your website.
Yeah.
May not mean anything. It means that you sold more than anything else for a 10-second window. Maybe you only sold 10 copies. So,
But in terms of optics, it does look good on paper.
It does look good, yeah.
Yeah. And when it comes to getting readers to be interested in your book, generally, I think most times authors do know what they want to express and they're enthusiastic about that. But how do we make sure that there are other people in the world who are also interested in reading it? Because one of the easiest decisions that readers can make is simply to stop reading. And we don't want that, especially if it's supposed to serve as a lead magnet. And so what do you guys think about the market orientation versus product orientation and how you market the book as a product and your lead magnet?
Well, what I like, the one thing about a book, let's say assuming you got a really good, nice little book done, all of the content from the book can be used in social media and blog posts and things like that. So you could put stuff out like an excerpt for things like this. Tales from the Turkey Table, we're probably going to put out little audio readings of it throughout, for a couple of months leading up to Christmas next time, and maybe have the whole thing as an audio book by the time we're done. They got into a ridiculous editing, sort of overzealous editing cycle for 2 years. So we basically burnt 2 Christmas seasons so far. But
yeah, and then there's also Thanksgiving season for the Turkey Table as well.
Yeah. And anyway, but they think they're done micro editing, and so we'll just start the promotions probably around July. So
yeah,
and so it'll be a good fun project too. So
yeah, it sounds like it. And speaking of once you've gotten through the point where your book is either published or is in pre-launch, ready to get published, Yeah, that would be. Would that be when you'd recommend you really start going full force on your promotion for
Well,
your?
we used to say that the time to start marketing is when you've got the title.
Yeah,
So so it doesn't hurt to say, have a landing page or something that says, the book is going to be, we're going to launch the book at some time. And if you're interested in it, join the mailing list, and then you can give little snippets or little teasers or whatever, and set it up. And as what Samantha was saying, you got the book launch, and you try to get people, then you have a, concentrated push the week before. And so then you can get a bunch of people to the launch party, and buying the thing. Like, one of the strategies is to get the book for 99 cents or something for a week or whatever it is, something. But the whole thing is to get people reviewing, getting a copy of it. Like, I think Amazon really responds to reviews. So if you get even 10 people to buy the thing and write a review, that helps launch, triggers some of the Amazon mechanisms to put it out in front of other people.
yeah, for sure. That's actually definitely very good information to know about. There is those types of mechanisms within the algorithm of a publisher like Amazon, because that could be so huge. If you can get your book into the algorithm, that could be so huge, because that's what can make the difference between your book going like Andy Weir's The Martian versus you know
Yeah.
some random book we've never heard of before.
Yeah. So you know what, like, on the way the Amazon platform works is, let's somebody is searching for something similar to your book, and then it shows up as an alternative. Like, that can really, really help. Oh, that looks interesting. I'll just throw that in the cart too.
Yeah. And so, what would be some of the steps you'd recommend for promoting your book once you're focusing on the promotions end of things?
Yeah. Well, I like doing like social media, blog posts as much, but if you can get on people's shows, like if you have a community of like-minded people, and with podcasts like this one here, and you can get on those podcasts, you can get in front of people, get other people to to suggest it and recommend it. So I think just the more reach that you have, and a lot of people don't kind of overlook press releases, but those are a good thing to do. Is the people who are pretty good at publishing things generally have a good list of contacts to send out press releases. And if you get an interview with even like a print publication or an online publication, that can really help.
Yeah, for sure. And so, and no, this is of course a lot of information. You mentioned that you have a few books of your own published. Are any of them covering, your whole publishing cycle?
Well, I am not quite sure what I want to do when I grow up. I've got about 4 books with the outline and partially ready to go, and I have to decide which ones I want to do first. I've got a couple on publishing and writing and publishing. I've got one on family and personal story productions, which is kind of that's something I'm interested in and have done. But I've decided to put the energy into the playing music for fun thing, because I've done a number of, spent quite a bit of time trying to get some traction with some of the publishing things, and with the story productions. And one person wrote and said that the idea of doing a family story production caused her to have nightmares. It's it triggers some family issues there. So, and in hindsight, the people, maybe the family is not the emphasis. Because all the ones that people have paid us to do family or story productions has been different personal stories. So maybe I'll have to spin that in a different way. But the music thing seems to have a resonance with people, and even when I'm networking, if I mention the music, that triggers other people. They have a similar story, or say, "Well, I've been neglecting my music, and I want to get on." So that's going to be the first one. I wrote a book on trading, trend trading. That had zero traction. And it's sort of a thing, as I said one time, it says, I love trading, but trading doesn't always love me. So it's kind of a thing to try to figure it out. So, so there'll probably be another, I think I'm getting close, and there'll probably be a little book, and that could be something people will pay for, that if you've got a little downloadable treasure that helps them have some success.
Yeah, for sure.
When it comes to all these diverse topics like music and family, how do you decide on the social media marketing strategies respectively? And do you have a calendar for when to roll out the promotional post and a schedule for it?
Well, I probably should have a calendar, but my general thing is to do it as much as, like, I'm working on the playing music for fun. I'm trying to put out at least three articles a week, and my strategy is I publish it as a blog post, and then I also put it out in social media, and then some of them I'll put out and send it out by email, and then eventually all these things are getting rounded up and put it into a membership program that people can pay for. And what I think is going to be different, what people will pay for is some little downloadables out of that. Because I've got a couple of things where I'll have a download where people can get an insight into music, and they can print it out, put it through a hole punch and put it in a binder. Like I've got some things that I've had over the years that I take with me, and I've got some other things. Like one of the ones is says almost everything you need to know about music on 2 pages, right?
Yeah. And stuff like that could be great for lead magnet offers.
Yeah.
To then pull people onto your list.
I bought one online just the other day. I don't know if it was Facebook or LinkedIn. It's probably Facebook. A little ad for what it is called is a piano chord encyclopedia. A download for $1, and I downloaded and so I bought it. What was really annoying is there's 4 or 5 pages of upsells, and you couldn't ignore them. You had to watch the video in order to get through. So it's just I went from wow, this is the book is great, but I'm probably not going to invite the person on to be a guest on my show because it really annoyed me. But
there's a right way and a wrong way to do upsells, and definitely one of the things you do not want to do is be adding friction to the sales process, because sure, you might get a few extra sales immediately up front, but you're not going to get the sustained sales over time.
Yeah. Like one would have been I don't mind the other ones. Like they could have done, like the thing that really annoyed me is that the sale for the $1 thing didn't go through. Like they could have just processed the $1, and you get on a thank you page, and the thank you page is a video and says, well, here, if that was great, it's going to be in your email, and but here, you want to take a look at this thing here for only $19.95 or $39.95, and then maybe I might have, and they say no, and then maybe, but this one here really held up the whole production. Like I couldn't even complete the $1 sale until I went through. Probably took 10 minutes to go through. It's just really annoying.
Yeah. And definitely one of the things you want to avoid doing is annoying your potential customers. Right at the beginning, because that's going to create that whole resistance factor of, if it's this annoying just making a $1 purchase.
Yeah.
How bad is it to get when I'm making a $1,000 purchase?
Yeah. It got me to resent the dollar.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there's a guy named Stephen Ridley, and the first time I came across him is I was watching YouTube, and I got this YouTube ad, and he sort of said, "Oh, you want to learn how to play the piano? Here, click here, and you go come to this 90-minute little master class." And so I didn't know who he was. I went to the master class, and at the end of it, the only reason I didn't buy it was because I couldn't afford it. It was like $2,500. I would have bought it right on the spot. So that it was really effective. So.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just unfortunate that sometimes you just don't have the money for stuff.
Yeah.
'Cause I've been there before, and I'm sure everyone watching this has been there at some point in their life where there's been something that was totally amazing. They're totally sold on it, but they just couldn't make the numbers work.
Yeah. I watched a presentation by Shaw Wasmond about, I don't know, it's like 5 years ago. And it was about selling an online course, selling it everywhere, Groupon, every place that pays, really. And she had an offer there, and he says, for the first 10 minutes, for the 10 people, it says, fly to London, and I'll go send a car, and we'll go for lunch together. If I had the money, I still would have done it. So.
Yeah. So,
But
so I guess, do you have any other closing remarks you wanted to make?
Yeah, I just think there's so much good about creating a book. For one, it can be just rewarding for yourself just to clarify your thoughts. There's an aspect of learning through teaching. If you just clarify what you're doing and what you're offering, that's going to be an advantage already. And then the book just can really open doors. It can open doors to be a guest on broadcasts and things. And it can have a life of its own. Like I've interviewed somebody who basically had 3 or 4 books out, and they just sell tons. And he had almost nothing to do with it, but he's a unicorn. That's a rare exception. Everybody else has to work really hard at getting distribution and getting sales for their book. But it's just, even if nothing else, you use it as a lead magnet and give it away. It establishes authority for what you're offering, and good things can happen.
Yeah, for sure. So, if you have any questions for Greg Dixon or anything else that you want us to cover, be sure to put that in the comment section down below. And it's been great having you on, Greg.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good.
Yeah, and also make sure that if you're on YouTube, that you subscribe. If you're on Rumble, make sure you hit the follow button, and so you'll get updated on future episodes. And we'll see you all in the next video.
See you.
See you all on the other side.